All right, we're still in the Wildlands, which is which is my favorite of the 4 regions. So sure. Anyway, here's the Yule's flower we were talking about earlier.
So
Okay.
This is it. A Yule's flower.
Basically, of all the medicines, this is the best in terms of healing the Angel of Valhalla. So be sure
Wow,
to get
we
it.
couldn't even make an animation for the bird actually eating it. We had to flash
yeah,
twice.
You don't have the money.
You know, Square.
Oh my god, this grass texture.
Oh,
This cutscene direction, man.
wow.
The cutscene direction is.
Again.
Allow me to remind you guys.
Did you see that, Shiori? Did you
first
see
role
that?
in the series. Yeah,
Not particularly.
well, let me remind everybody that Motomo Toriyama's first debut in the series was as an event director for, aka cutscene director, for Final Fantasy VII.
He can do better than this.
Not just that, again.
What? Excuse me? Why are you orgasming?
It's similar to the phone from before and what will be importantly
Ass
with the
shot of the
gun.
chocobo.
With the dog, sorry.
Look at that chocobo ass.
Okay, who's Nadia? Where the heck is Nadia?
It's the girl that thought that Chocobo once saved her. We talked over it in the previous part, but basically she's a girl who is convinced that a Chocobo.
Oh, it's that girl.
Her model glitched up when she was getting up.
Yeah, that girl. Also,
she's about to explain. Hold on.
And I ran away from home. Back in the city, I was treated like a princess. I just had to.
I treat you like a princess, and now you.
And you hated that?
Not real living, is it? I got tired of that life.
So you ran away just for
you
kicks.
you got tired of living the good life. Yeah, I know. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, man disapproves.
Also, it's weird.
Actually, I didn't hear it.
Yeah, I heard Mena. By the way, it's weird though because Nadia, the way she was showing up, she was actually underneath the white chocobo for part of the cutscene. That's what was weird. She was.
I love how that. Notice how that chocobo in the background is squatting.
Yeah, this is the deal. Nadia was doing her whole bend down animation thing during the cutscene. That's why it looked like she was giving the white chocobo a blowjob.
He's fucking gay, man.
So yeah, basically she was convinced that she would save by a talking chocobo. And she was trying to pretend that she's dead so she can try to replicate the chocobo talking, but the chocobo won't talk. Yes, this is the side quest.
Let me guess. In her original life, basically what happens is that she actually did die out here, and that's part of her past regret.
So that's what your little play acting was about.
Am I right?
Not really, Jova. It's literally as unimpressive as I was described. She just wants to get this chocobo to talk. That's all. That's everything.
Pedro, I get that. I'm talking about the part where she says that she thought she might die. I'm guessing, does that mean that that's how she died in the real world?
No. What happened was she was really wounded and shit. However, the words that she thought she heard coming from the chocobo was what gave her motivation to survive. But again. It was just. However, we're going to explain exactly what that voice actually was.
Yeah, like I said though, my guess is like, well, that means that she actually.
Find what you're looking for.
What?
Don't turn around. You're searching for meaning.
Turns out the voice was that kid.
So you're telling me that kid just happened to be behind a chocobo while that girl was out there dying?
Apparently.
Why didn't he just actually talk to her?
Because this plot is stupid, Joe.
Yeah.
Not to mention,
when Detective Conan does it once per episode, is actually funny and resolving, but here,
You're right.
oh god,
It is there, and I do see it. Thank you.
you're not even turning.
Well, remember, he told her not to turn.
That was
So
such an easy
yeah,
quest.
Not just that, it's very mean-spirited when you think about it.
Okay, don't.
So, are we actually gonna confront that boy?
We are, Jova.
And let me
girl,
guess.
actually. It's a girl, actually. So.
Oh. Also, my point was like, oh, I honestly thought that. Okay, so that means like,
Hey,
oh,
could you stop for a moment, Lewis? So I can talk to you.
The clipping, guys. Oh my god.
Yes, what do you want?
I heard the chocobo.
Pardon me, this is a bit of a weird angle for me to talk to you from.
That was a clever
Oh my
trick you
god.
pulled, young man.
You know, most games would actually just have the person automatically get off the chocobo.
Let's focus on the
Samurai
wood.
Gold.
Let's focus on the wood.
That's
You,
so.
see, you demanded more footage of the woods, and we're giving it to you.
That's a good shot, man.
Did Mark Region direct? Like seriously, this is like in after last season where we cut to a shot of the door.
Also, why is that girl wearing a flower on her shirt?
Because she's a girl, Joe, and we all know girls love flowers, don't they?
Sure.
According to Japan, yes.
Too many fairy
Oh look! The Chocobo's
That's right.
wing is clipping through Lightning's dress and leg.
She wanted to go
It's a good thing I'm not doing a drinking game for this title, because otherwise I would be dead already.
Yeah, Tio, don't do that.
No.
We'll save it for the
Not
next.
even worth my time.
Yeah, we'll save it for like maybe the next comp out.
Speaking of
Speaking
drinking game, Joe. Speaking of drinking game, Teo, since you just reminded me of that wonderful drinking game you had in Paraffins Ref. Don't you know, Teo, that today the PlayStation Network started a new Japanese games sale, and guess what? Both Paraffins Ref games are on sale. You can get Advent Dark Force on your PS4 for only €13. So I'm sure you're looking forward to that.
Should I?
So,
No, again, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's even worth for the.
Well, I can tell. I can tell you something too. It's an easy platinum.
Yay.
anyway, going back to my original point, though, it's
Is
like.
it worth it, though?
Anyway,
Yes,
going
Joe,
back to my
that's fine.
original point, so I felt like, well, the way this world works is like, well, okay, people died some way, so now they're here because, you know, everyone died at some point, so what she was recounting was like, well, her life up until her death, and then basically, in this limbo, her life continued beyond her death.
That's the weird thing, Joe. I remember. Yes, it's just as you said. But after that event, 500 years have passed, and people did things in that time frame. So I think she's referring to that particular time period.
So have people actually physically lived all these years then?
Yes.
Yes, they have. Well, remember, Joe, they stopped aging.
How?
You
Well,
can
oh,
still,
wait,
you
wait,
can
wait.
still die by sickness or being killed by something.
But they don't die of old
you,
age.
you don't age old.
So so in that case, why did Lightning need to freeze herself then at the end of 13-2 if you don't even age?
I have
No, Joe, that's a different thing. Come on, Teo, she explained it. Remember, Joe, she was turning herself into an epitaph to preserve the memory of her sister. That's what she told at the end of the.
Even though
13-2
even though she's losing those memories in this early game. So I ask again, what was the point? Like, I mean,
well, Jova, you'll have to take it up to the
Okay.
mentally challenged. Jova, you'll have to take it up to the mentally challenged director of this game.
not only that, but what exactly was going to take her memories away that she had to preserve herself in crystal? Like, what, was some big, giant, big bad wave coming? And why would it have just affected her? Like, everyone else seems
Allow me
to...
to that's right, ladies and gentlemen. Ali Ellis stepped in the recording booth and got into the microphone and said, "Queh, queh."
I can tell you she has way better dialogue in DCDNT.
Yeah. Not only...
And in Kid Icarus Uprising.
Yeah. Not only that,
Yeah.
why is Lightning worried about losing her memories? Like, plenty of people seem to remember their
And
lives.
the Mass Effect series, from what I've heard.
Yeah, she's the Arazzoni. Yes, Jova?
I mean, plenty of people seem to remember their lives, and again, it's such a hard gap to tell. So wait, so that girl whose soul we saved, has she been living as a princess before this
How do I
limbo
love this
thing,
music?
or during the limbo thing?
Yeah.
It's never clear. Like, you know, this would
Hold
have
on,
been...
Jova, let me... See, the music in this game is so good. Why does it have to be wasted on this stripe? Why?
That we all ask ourselves that.
But it's sad.
Well, I can tell you, Pedro, that the same composer returned for Mobius.
I know.
Hold on. The quality music in the game, I guess it's on par with this.
Well, that's not surprising to me, Teo. Remember, Masashi Amazu is Toriyama's go-to composer. He always has
But
been.
that's the thing. If that's the case, what the fuck happened for 13.2?
But Masashi Amazu was composing for 13.2.
Exactly, but 13.2 soundtrack sucks.
That's just the thing, Teo. Like I've told you before, I didn't even like the compositions he did do for Final Fantasy X. Like, I didn't really care much for Masashi Amazu's compositions before this game come along. Like, I love both this soundtrack and the World of Final Fantasy soundtrack. I haven't heard the Mobius one, so I can't speak for that. But I hate 13.2 soundtrack. I find 13.1 soundtrack forgettable as all hell. And even the ones he did make for 10, I didn't care much for, honestly. So honestly,
Well, I have to agree with that. Amongst the main Final Fantasy games, 10 is my least favorite soundtrack in general.
I like the battle theme of
nah,
10,
I'll still take 10 soundtrack over 13's. Honestly, I find 13 soundtrack to be utterly, completely unremarkable. Aside from maybe like what 3 tracks.
True.
I
Well,
like
I
10.
can remember a couple of tracks from 13. From 10, the ones that stick really with me are just the piano ones. Via Purifico and Susanna.
I love the hymns though.
And I love, and I
I don't
really,
know. There's just something that doesn't take me with that.
I actually really
I
do
like,
like the.
I like those. I love
Yes,
To
Jova?
Xener Ken. Don't you like To Xener Ken too?
That's what I just mentioned. Anyway,
Oh,
Jova.
okay, sorry. Go ahead.
I actually do like the battle theme of 10.
I don't care for the vocal version of Suteki Dane, but I do like the instrumental version.
The
Wait,
battle
wait.
theme, Jova. Oh,
I don't
no,
recall
no,
the battle theme having a vocal version.
No,
Has a vocal song called
Yeah,
Suteki
no,
Dane.
Pedro, Joa
Alright.
was thinking you were talking to what he just said. Anyway, to answer
Yeah.
you, Jova, it's not bad, Jova, like battle theme, but again, compared to some other the vast majority of our battle
Oh,
themes
it's
in
no
the
let the
saga,
battles
I
begin.
don't really remember it. Like, also for comparison, yeah, the one with trumpets. In the same game, Jova, I kind of prefer of 10. I prefer the boss theme rather than battle theme.
Final
Oh,
Fantasy
goody.
10 does have
Cool,
quite a
man.
good. The Final Fantasy 10, I can think of like a good like 10 full of number of tracks that I like from 10.
Get
13
it? 'Cause it's 10.
13.1, however, I only care about like I think Blended by Light is okay. I don't like it as nearly as much as everybody else does. I love Blended by Light is the main the battle theme.
Are we fighting robotic sequels?
No, they're the Gremlins, they were enemies since the first game.
You're probably wondering why are they called
I don't
gremlins?
remember
They look
these
nothing like
guys from
gremlins.
the... However,
That's
I
because. All right, then we got the music satchel. You're probably wondering what the hell is that thing? That's a key item for a later side quest. We'll do that in a
So
later.
what are we? Oh god! Oh,
He's still talking. He's still talking.
This area reminds me of that weird desert area we came to in 13.2, which is down in a coast, except instead of the sea, there was endless blackness, and this is probably a reused asset.
Just to finish, like I said, I find Blinded by Light okay, but I don't like it nearly as much as everybody else does. Honestly, I find it to be a very mediocre battle theme. I love.
Snake? What are you doing?
No, Jova, you're thinking of a much better franchise.
my ticket.
Don't
Isn't
stop
that a
it.
good thing right now? We need to think of happy things.
Exactly.
I know
Yeah,
Metal
actually-
Gear isn't exactly happy, but we need
Actually,
to
it reminds me
Well,
more of
not
Cabal
anymore,
from
no.
Mortal Kombat.
It's not. Yeah, like I love Born Anew.
guess
Born
I'll
Anew
wait
is
here.
fantastic.
Fighting Fate.
Don't care for it. I find it forgettable, honestly.
It is
And
now 6
and I really love the main theme.
Huh. You know,
So
hey, no,
particularly the Lightning Returns version of the main theme, basically.
I love how it's 5:51 p.m. right now in my time, and it's pretty close to 6.
Yeah. Hey, Cook. So yeah, cooks will heal your HP for a price, but fortunately we don't. Do that.
These ain't the tales of game. Fuck off.
So yeah, for those who forgot, remember we got a ticket from that guy who was, according to Jova, getting a blowjob by a little girl.
This is the sneaking in special, aka the ticket scalper price, I'm guessing.
I
Yeah.
wish we had the sneaking theme that is at the beginning of Nino Kuni 2.
Yeah, not just. Not just that.
You
like,
know,
if this was
you know, guy, for a guy who's
the
supposed,
side quest would be charming. But anyway, go ahead, Joe.
you know, for a guy who's supposed to be just sneaking people into a show, that guy is kind of a bit armored. Like, I mean, dude, I didn't know that sneaking into shows was this much a serious business, not to mention the fact that there are monsters that will kill you on the way to this special show.
Raves are hardcore, don't you know?
That's a very valid complaint, Jova, but allow me to remind you of something. I bet you didn't know this. Destiny is destiny. Did you know that?
Well, I didn't
And
know
Hulk is
about the
still
person who
talking.
supplies and depends on humanity. Oh, wait, he stopped talking.
That's because I paused the game.
Maybe he'll stop afterwards?
Let's see.
Yes.
Oh, he did. He actually did.
There
Very
you
good,
The
Jova.
go.
absolute madman.
All right. Let's see.
Alright, we're about to get actually to one of the points. Basically, you're about to see in a second in an upcoming cutscene, but basically, Surprisingly enough, when this was released, Final Fantasy XIV was actually relaunched with the Realm Reborn campaign. As such, in order to make it gain steam, one of the tactics that Square Enix actually did was to cram it to the brim with reference and some recycled assets from previous games. For example, there are a couple of enemies from Final Fantasy XII, like the Mantis type of enemies. And references like Magitech armors, gunblades, materials and stuff like that.
To be fair, even Lightning has a gun blade.
Yes, but there are different variations of it. The ones in 14 are similar to the model of the revolver of 8.
Yeah.
Question,
Fan
which
service.
gunblade do you guys prefer? The one from Final Fantasy VIII or the one from 13 Lightning?
The 13 one, because as Puni said back
The
in
14
his
is more
back-
practical.
The 13 one can actually shift into a gun more so.
Not
Yeah.
just, I think Spunny's the one who said best back in 2010. It works better because it's not always a gunblade; it switches between the thing. Not to and it looks much more practical and plausible. Whereas the one in 8 it feels like a fan made thing
And
from
it's
DeviantArt,
not-
where they literally stuck a blade into a gun. Literally.
And it's based off of a model that was considered pretty cowardly back in the day.
Hello, monsters.
Because yes, folks, gunblades were a real thing, but those were considered cowardly
Yeah.
and they didn't
Anyway,
really work out that well.
Part of his idea of stuffing 14 RM Reborn with references came to conclusion with, well, not conclusion, but continued with a collaboration with this game. Yes, there was a collaboration in this game. 14 would have got a specific themed event, timed event, tied to Lightning and a fight against Chaos Bahamut, the transformation that Caius had in 13.2. In return, Lightning Returns would use 2 specific models for boss fights. One for this and one for later in, I think the Dunes or the Cathedral. I will mention when it will come up. But one of them is actually about to pop up in upcoming cutscene, so I'll mention it when it comes.
Not just that, but Lightning can also get the Mikote costume.
Yeah, the Mikote costume, right, which changes her breast
The battle,
size.
but still,
Yeah,
we get to
to be
hear
fair-
the Final Fantasy 14 victory fanfare from it.
Honestly,
So-
to be fair to you, changing breast sizes, that's just a custom thing that honestly, I mean, yeah.
No, I don't know, it just reinforces the whole thing about Toriyama's personal fetishes.
To be fair, okay, it's disturbing with Lightning, yes, but when actually creating a character, it makes sense to include something to change breast size.
We upgraded a soldier's tie into a general's tie. How
Okay.
interesting.
However, yeah, yeah, what exactly is the point of changing Lightning's breast size with the costumes here? I don't get.
Sex appeal. Because that's all this
Mikotes
game has going for it.
Mikotes tend to be a bit more generous.
I mean,
Which is weird because Ishtar is not that voluptuous, so...
Chaos feeds
Yeah.
on despair, right?
God forbid they do a Tifa cosplay for her.
I'm honestly
Silly
surprised
Joe,
that
but
I'm
Toriyama is
honest-
not that clever.
I'm
Hold
honestly
on,
surprised that they
I'm
didn't
about
do
to get
that.
it.
You'd think Motomo Toriyama would have, seeing as how he was an event designer on 7.
The only costumes for 7 we get are Cloud and Aerith, so yeah.
Of course.
Well, actually, no.
Oh,
yeah,
you're
yeah.
still alive.
Well, actually, yeah, Joe just reminded me. Yeah, no, event designer. That's what I was supposed to say. He was an event director on 10, but on 7 he was just designer, not director. But go ahead, Lumina. Continue to point out the
Oh,
obvious.
Lumina, can you just go die in a corner?
All the characters do in this game is point out the painfully obvious.
It's for the sake of padding.
Also, why does she have an outfit that could poke someone's eyes out?
If
Like
I
seriously,
were
where?
else, I'll go
Like
to
seriously,
Catherine.
go. You're not in World Ends Review. You don't need the extra edgy clothes.
But Petrova shows it as well.
What's no thinking?
She looks like somebody's design, but like a dark
Lightning,
light or
you
something.
just imply that Snow is capable of thinking processes. Come
I'm
on.
sorry, but
I don't know, Teo. I do think he's better in this game.
I'm sorry, but
Well, again, Pedro, too little, too late.
what
I
exactly?
know, but
Wait,
gotta take what we can, right?
are we
like you
supposed
said-
to
like you
be
usually say.
Are we
I
supposed?
suppose.
Are we supposed to be watching the show from here or something? Like we were sneaking in to see a show, right?
No, Jova, the game got interrupted abruptly because Lumina
We need a
just
boss
wanted
fight.
Yeah.
In our way to sneak into a show.
Don't worry, Jova. Well, to be fair, Jova, we do have all the time until the day ends before we get there. So it's not like it's not like we're in a complete hurry or anything.
But we went in at 6, so obviously, according to the game's story, that's the time to go in.
No. It's a time where the sneaking path opens, but it will stay open the rest of the day.
Regardless, though, my point is this, though. I mean, like, well, what? Is it going to be darker if you enter in through a different time?
Well, yeah. If I do let it get dark, yes, it will get dark.
There
Oh!
it is, the Cyclops.
Oh wait, never mind. It's never mind. It's the sunset. Wait, so you're telling me that this game actually does change how the daytimes look if you wait a certain time?
Well, of course, Joe. The whole 13 days thing is kind of the whole point of the structure of this game.
What I mean is like, well, does it actually show morning, sunset, and night?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. There is a day-night cycle. Yes.
There you go, that's the Cyclops, one of the 2 monsters that we got from the collaboration.
So let me.
Too bad that I rendered the clock completely useless with that.
So I have to wonder though. Okay, so say that you do this close to the time that the show starts. Then, what happens then if you come to this boss and essentially this boss delays you long enough to miss it?
It doesn't. The clock stops during a boss battle.
Game.
Time to say goodbye.
Fun fact. This is the easiest things. When it comes to bosses like these, the best way to beat these bosses is by using the overclock ability like I just did. Why? Because the overclock ability allows you to pretty much ravage the monster like I just did. And allow me to remind you, the overclock ability costs 2 EP. However, by beating this boss, you gain 4 EP. So basically, I ended up using the overclock ability at no cost to me whatsoever.
I'm sorry, did this game actually try to give a boss an actual character arc by saying this boss knows he's gonna die, so he wants to go out fighting?
I don't get it either, honestly. Nobody cares.
And
Nobody
it's not like it
cares.
even matters because we beat him in a cutscene. Also, considering how Lumina is probably just a figment of something...
Oh,
I'm fine. I fell into the warehouses. Which way do I head from here?
Let's see. I guess that you're near the
It's not like I could just jump back up because I don't have those kind of abilities. Oh wait, I do.
I'm picking up strong chaos readings all over the city. I can't say what'll happen.
Hell, just pull an adventure and have someone throw you into the air or something like that. I don't know.
Or heck, pull a Final Fantasy 15 and throw your sword in. You know what? Whatever. She's a ripoff enough.
funny Jova, in the CDNT, in one of the cinematic of the CDNT, Noctis kinda does that. Lightning loses a weapon because of a fight with Sephiroth, and Noctis grabs it and tosses it to her while teleporting in their location.
So, essentially now we're just hurrying to the palace, which we were originally just sneaking into, but now, because time is of the essence, we can just storm the gates.
You got in my way.
Because...
You're on my way.
What actually is going to happen is we're going to try to get out of the warehouse, and by trying to out of guess what? We found, well, actually not yet. We're going to find an ID card. What's an ID card? It's that card that opens those every single door in Houston. So thanks to that ID card, we could just go for the front door.
So essentially, in our original quest to sneak
The
into
whole sneaking special thing was just a waste of our time.
But it got us the ID card, I guess. Also, what's with all the dead bodies here in the alleyway?
Hope's explaining now. Yes, go on, Lightning, and check their bodies for valuables.
Okay, I'm sorry. How's an ID card left on a guy who was burnt to a... Well, maybe he was there for a long time, but... So, a high-ranking citizen was murdered, and nobody mugged him to get the ID off his card. I mean, okay, unless he was burnt to a crisp, although then I'd wonder how the card's even intact. So, yeah, if he was killed, whoever killed him, for whatever reason, unless it was some unrelated creature or something, was an idiot. Also, how's the only thing left on him an ID card?
No idea, Joe.
Like,
me neither.
You know, there's so many different ways you could do this that don't force us to have to ask these questions, Gabe.
Too bad I don't care, Joe.
I mean, honestly, don't get me wrong. Motomo Toriyama is an idiot, but at times like this, I have to wonder how much control he actually did have in this show.
Oh, no, I assure you, Joe, he had full control in these.
No, I mean, in a sense, like, well, it seems almost like he didn't have the control to actually get to do his true vision. As in, like, well, I mean, like you guys, like you yourself said, essentially the only reason these sequels exist is just to make enough money to recoup the losses from the first 13 games. So I honestly do have to wonder how much SCWRM actually did have in this, or if he's just the face guy. I mean, don't get me wrong. Now, obviously, some of the more sexualized, stupid stuff, that's his doing. But a lot of his game programming stuff, I mean, I'm having a hard time thinking it's even him, because he has shown that he can actually develop games just fine, so... I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, the problem with 13 wasn't so much, it having bad programming. It was just about a stupid game scheme.
13.1 was polished. It's not the... Yeah. That's just the thing, Joe. But 13.1, you can tell it was his full, unfiltered vision. That was supposed to be his magnum opus.
Whereas with 13.2 and Lightning...
It was the first time he was handed the full creative control of a main Final Fantasy game. That was supposed to be his big breakthrough.
Whereas with 13.2 and Lightning Returns, I'm starting to think he was just the face guy, just the guy who was the face of the project as opposed to actually having all complete say,
No, it's not so much that, Joe. It's more so that he was forced to make sequels that he most likely probably didn't plan out. But again, even if he was not the one even if he was technically told to make these sequels, I still think he could have done a better job than this, because
absolutely.
I mean...
I keep saying work with your budget, and he didn't.
Well, okay. When it comes to 13...
I mean, for all the terror, let me try to think of sequels that were mandated that turned out fine.
Apollo Justice.
That's debatable.
Okay. I'm gonna be quite honest. Apollo Justice is still overall a good game. Yes, it sucks in the overall narrative and stuff, but okay, ignoring the roles certain characters have to play in that game still plays like a fully functional Ace Attorney game, and it has a nice enough gripping story. Again, the problem is who they chose to have the certain roles here, and to be fair, for what it was mandated, it could have been a lot worse, and honestly, okay, I'll say it's like this. Apollo Justice is a case where it's one of the lesser good games. It's not even really a bad game on the whole.
Alright, go ahead, too.
Also, Pedro, you're asking a sequel that was mandated and technically was better than the first game?
No, a sequel that was technically mandated by the executives, but it's still ended up fine.
Well, you mean just fine on its own, or better than the first one?
Like
just fine on its own.
A decent sequel in general.
Because otherwise, NAC 2 could fit.
No. Okay. First of all,
2 is just as bad as the first game.
Also, NAC 2 was not mandated, Teo. It was begged to exist.
Remember, Teo, it was supposedly a passion project according to the developers.
Yeah. It's just something how Japan Studio themselves seem more passionate about that game than Mark Cerny himself.
I just want Japan Studio to try do some of the crazy shit they were doing back.
Well, that's the problem. It doesn't sound like they've gotten much of a chance.
Yeah.
They most likely will now that NAC 2 is done.
I don't know, Pedro.
Well, the whole meme about Sony relying only on Western developers nowadays is just depressing to me.
Well, okay, to be fair to you, part of the problem is the fact that Japan is shifting more towards a more mobile gaming environment.
That does that too, yeah.
Which is stupid. It's
all.
You know what's sad? Inafune definitely, he spoke a lot of BS, but he kind of did have a point about how Japan... Okay, Inafune was a bit ahead with the whole Japan's becoming old and weary. Had he said it nowadays, he probably would have had more backing. When he said it back then... Nah, we weren't quite to that point, but here, we're definitely at that point. Except for Nintendo.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Moogle Village. This is where all the Moogles that are still left in the world live now.
Hey, I wonder if Mog's here.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Even though I'm pretty sure he died in 13.2.
Yeah.
Yeah, that funny story, Jova. He's gonna show up here alive and well.
Also, these...
So, that obviously means Sarah's alive and well somewhere.
And guess what, Shiburai? We're also gonna get a cutscene. You there, by the way?
Yeah.
We're gonna get a cutscene that I'm willing to bet that Akira Hino saw the cutscene we're about to watch and thought, I think I can do this better with that Yokai Watch thing that I'm planning to make.
Okay, let's be honest, guys. This immediately removes the tension of whether or not Sarah's alive and well, because 13.2 established that she and Mog are joined at the hip.
Jova, if you haven't realized by this point, we don't care about continuity. We just do whatever.
Well,
Also, I don't like these
let's be
things.
quite honest. Did you even believe that they would really kill Sarah?
I can assure you, Shira, that the Moogles are far more charming in the classic games.
Any
Oh,
other
well,
game.
she's seen for herself in 7. In World of Final
Like them.
Fantasy.
Why the
Oh,
Dryads
they're-
want to do
What the heck are those?
I love how even the monsters themselves look bored as crap to be here.
Also, why did those things just pop out of nowhere?
Because we need monsters to fight. And
Moglin.
look, it looks like all the Moogles are voiced by the Mog actress.
Probably.
So, does
Like,
D-Mog himself from Oh, God.
I can understand the logic in that, but the problem is that this woman has no range.
Hey.
All of them
Moogles
sound
are
the same.
literally-
Hey! Hands off those!
These Moogles are literally groping her.
You know, maybe if this were animated better, that scene could have been charming and
The
funny.
absolute state
The
of
problem
affairs
is
of the
that
franchise.
because, again,
The problem is that they're trying to do typical anime humor, but they don't have the animation and comedic timing to do it.
yeah, I mean, even the comedic timing could have worked if just the animation were better. But we're using reused assets that don't even have different models.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe if the joke were that she doesn't react to it, that'd be fine. But no, she's clearly supposed to be
So
all
yeah, side quest.
flustered.
Peace and quiet, Kupo. Basically, just kill all the monsters.
The Dryads, yeah. Basically, Joe, in case you don't know, the Dryads are some of the, in terms of origin, were spirits from the Celtic folklore. They represent nature and wolves.
I know.
Why the hell they're attacking the Moogles is anyone's guess.
Also, aren't Dryads normally female? Well, okay.
Good question,
I guess to be fair, sometimes they can be male, but it's Square Enix. You'd think that they would have been female.
Ugh.
I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know, and I don't even care.
what
so-
I'd give to be playing Toho. Oh, yeah, basically, Pedro, Toho is if you had yokai watch, but most of the yokai were, anime girls.
Oh, really?
They're in really well. No, I'm gonna spare that because the original creator doesn't like that.
Doesn't like what?
Basic, the fandom shipping all of them.
Anyway, cutscene.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, now I'll be pointing out what I just said earlier.
The Chief
Oh, yeah.
Smog, isn't it? Oh, wait, no.
Yeah. Their leader is Mog.
Let's see.
There he is.
There you go.
You can't really be.
Yep.
Yeah, for some reason, and we're not gonna explain that reason.
It really is you.
So, like I said, this pretty much spoils that Sarah's alive.
You know, for as ridiculous as they are,
Okay,
at the
that
very
Kupo's
least, at the
starting
very
to
least,
get
when a
annoying.
for as stupid as the reasons are, at the very least, the Kingdom Hearts does give a reason why a character is back. They're usually stupid, yes, but at the very least, there's a reason.
It is
Well,
you, isn't it?
well, I think it's easy to understand the reason here. Mog's alive because Sarah's alive somewhere.
Is it that
Anyway.
having to see me again?
Yes, Lightning, it is. Well, okay, for people who bought into the series, it was.
Mog does not deserve to
Why are you even blaming yourself? It wasn't your fault. It was the fact that Noel and Sarah are fucking stupid, and we're told continuously throughout the entire game that they're.
And why are you using the third
It's a-
person for yourselves?
Mog.
Oh yeah, I don't recall Mog
Because-
ever doing that
Glad you're
before.
all right. I was
Because
worried about you.
I.
I know what you're feeling.
Oh,
Your
Lightning
shadow
does
loves
care
tears
for
for
this
Sarah.
Mog who
Haven't
she
you?
never actually interacted with before.
Blaming
Actually,
no.
she did.
Well,
Actually, she
okay,
did. She
that
was the
one
one.
time.
She was the one.
She gave them to Noel,
He
and
was
that's
a-
it. That's like literally the one interaction they had.
He was a weapon at the time, but okay.
No,
Alright,
remember
um,
the initial cutscene, she summons him, then he transforms into the weapon.
I need a
God, I
very
forgot
important
about
favor
that.
from you.
I don't blame you.
There's a
Aw,
chance
this is,
I
you know,
won't be
maybe if
around
this
to
were
meet her when she
Cloud, this could
returns.
be charming.
I'm gonna try not to let that happen.
Maybe if I just recolor
Maybe
her
if the
hair.
Moogles were charming in this series, they would. Well, this trilogy, I mean.
Someone she
Um,
knows and loves
I
waiting
mean,
for her.
my god, at least animate her face to look different. Like, you know, I'll give the
Here we
original.
go. Yeah, if you want to see this
Oh,
joke
God.
done well, either play the first Yokai Watch game or watch the first episode of the anime. There you
Or heck, watch a lot of no. Okay, so he's a perv.
That's It's more like the old
Wait, hold on.
Don't
Was
give
he
up.
actually a
Things are going
perv?
to get
Like,
better.
it's hard to
Don't get me
tell.
wrong, that kind of joke is corny, but it can work if the game would build up would make us care about the character.
Please. Dragon Ball
corny-
Z, one of the
cor-
oldest
corny-
anime, has perfected the whole perv joke.
Not just that joke. I'm not even talking about the perv aspect. I'm talking about how corny that joke is of the whole, the pink background and him. Like again, Yokai Watch made it work because, again, this kind of joke only works when we actually care about the characters involved in the joke. The characters in this game.
Okay, to be fair, there can be bouts where you don't care about the characters in that joke, and that joke can still work. The thing is, like, well, I mean, for all you know, it can be just a cutaway gag, and that can still work. The thing, though, is, like, well, it needs
Depends
to be...
on context, I guess. Then.
Yeah, it needs to be animated well for us to actually register. I mean, here it's just cliche and sad. Like, even if that were my first time ever seeing that one, it doesn't register because... It's not like the characters really do something different. They're so stiff in their motions. It's like I'm watching to see, hey, what would it be like if Ace Attorney characters in the DS games actually did more than move in their poses? If only they wouldn't be able to do much because it's a DS. And, oh my god, the part's already over. This game gives us so much stupid to talk about.
In the next part, everybody, I think we finish Use None, if I remember correctly. We'll see. See you, everybody.
See ya.
So, yeah.